I think people are one of the least understood things in our universe. I think if you are excited about the notion of what happens in our world, I put understanding people right up there with understanding the depths of the ocean. And when you can use something like analytics, it lets you have a better way to frame your understandings and what you're learning and apply a process to this really fascinating topic of who are we? How do we tick? What does it really mean to be productive and to work and to be in the place? So it can seem contradictory, but in fact, that's actually what makes the current application of data in this space kind of exciting, a little difficult at times, but also one of the more intriguing areas that people are studying today. My own personal topic that I want to push is really thinking again about people data being unique, and don't forget that it's about people. The number one thing that I care about when I look at people analytics data is privacy, security, and appropriateness. There are so many things we can analyze. There's so much we can look at. There's even oftentimes great business value to be had by looking at certain topics. But, just because you can measure something doesn't always mean that you should. There are opportunities for potentially using inappropriate data. For example, we may not want to use medical records when analyzing stuff, even if it could lead to business decisions around medical costs and care. That's private, personal data that should be respected. So I always come back to, is this appropriate? Should we be using the data? How will we use it? Do we have the right kind of approvals? And then getting into, how is this aligned to a business problem? How will this make improvements for either the organization or for individuals? I used to work with a company that did jet engines, and a single sensor on a single blade would put out terabytes of data, which is not the same level of data that you'd get in the people space. We don't have that much data to do people analytics with. And so it can make certain things like machine learning and AI difficult, especially if you're applying it to just one area of understanding people, like the learning and development process. So that is a natural sticking point sometimes when trying to do more advanced machine learning, artificial intelligence techniques, but that's not always an impediment. Depending on what you're studying, there is big data that's possible around those in people analytics. One that I'm really excited by at the moment is just the ability to measure things around our social connections and interactions through things like network analysis and social relationships, where that type of data actually is quite large, and we can look at how work is really getting done in the organization. We can identify the connectors. We can build a lot out of it. I'm excited to see the opportunity of people analytics helping with things like work-life balance that's personalized and individualized. Work-life balance does not mean the same thing to everybody. The different people like it in different styles. Understanding that more could help us create better work environments to meet it. I was mentioning earlier, looking at social networks, I think has amazing opportunities for increasing inclusivity in organizations and really helping with some of our issues around making sure that people from different groups or backgrounds feel included and involved. There's so much that we can change about our work style and behavior. We can even fundamentally change what it means to do work, how that's evaluated, how that's measured. And by treating this whole approach as a science to be critically understood and informed by information and data, that's how we can get there. And that's how we can actually drive to some potentially revolutionary new ways of working. I think a misconception about becoming a data-driven HR leader, a misconception is that you have to be a data scientist or a mathematician or something like that. And that's not always the case. I'm not saying those skills aren't valuable and useful, but you can be a true data-driven, data-informed leader just by having the ability to understand a business problem, translate it into the questions that can be addressed through analytics and evidence-based information, and then really serving an important role as the translator of how to understand, look at, and apply those findings for, say, talent management activities to ensure, employees are appropriately understood and analyzed, to really bring in the HR expertise that is critical before doing any kind of data activity.